Not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Mom.
Hey, cool moms.
Hey, cool moms.
Fab. Aside from the general climate, I have had quite a week. First of all, my son lost his front tooth this week. Very, very like mom news, right? He lost his front tooth. Okay, excited. And I knew that I needed to play Tooth Fairy. We don't do Santa, but we are like very connected to Tooth Fairy in the house. Capitalism exchange, I need the money for the tooth. And he told me exactly what he wanted. My son is a Capricorn. He said, I want $2 under the pillow from the Tooth Fairy. I said, okay, I got you. I'm sure she's gonna bring it. I fell asleep, y'all. I fell asleep. I was woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning, tears, little feet running in. My tooth is still there. The Tooth Fairy didn't bring me any money. And I was like, no, can't be. I was like, you missed it. Just stay right here. Let me go check. So now I'm rummaging in my bag. I find a $5 bill. I was like, bet, $5. Like, upgrade. I take the tooth out. I put the $5 under a different pillow to make it seem like he just missed it. And then I was like, oh my God, Sergeant, the tooth is totally missing. Like, go back and check. He goes back and checks. Silence. And I was like, Sergeant, is everything okay? No. I said, well, what happened? He said, it's not what I wanted. It's a folded up 5. I said, God damn, I cannot win. And I was like, well, that's what the Tooth Fairy wanted. So then we had to go through this whole conversation about gratitude. And in that gratitude conversation, I end up saying, well, the Tooth Fairy is not real. It's me anyways. Which, why did I do that? Like, why? I just felt like it was 6 a.m. I was leading with too much honesty. And he let me know. He was like, well, I really believed in the Tooth Fairy. And now I know it's you. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. So just be grateful for the $5 because it was me that gave it to you, okay? Let's get ready for school. So that is part of how my week started. On a different note, I love a good girl time. I love a good surprise. I had a friend come over today with a bucket of barbecue. And for me, that's like a love language. So we're just sitting there, 2 women, eating barbecue, co-working, having the best time, talking shit. Later, we find out all of our periods had synced up. And I was like, this makes sense. We have not only my friend who came with the barbecue, but also our 2 other friends. We're on our group text and we're like, blood sisters, we're all synced up. So I feel very witchy and very bitchy coming into this full moon that I have synced up cycles with my friends. Additionally, my cycle has very much informed how I've been feeling in terms of setting boundaries. As some of you know, because I chat about it, I'm in therapy. We can clap for the therapy because we need it. Yeah. So now I do that thing where I'm like, so me and my therapist were talking. And so my therapist and I were talking about the fact that I realized at this big, wise age that I have people-pleasing tendencies, which I was gagged because I have prided myself in being a bitch for a really long time. And then I found out I kind of wasn't. I found out that I have a lot of empathy and compassion and sometimes to the detriment of my own self. So I have been really working on boundaries and I have set a multitude of boundaries this week. And I just want to share this note because a lot of times when we talk about setting boundaries, it's like, yes, I did it. Most times it feels terrible. It's really challenging to value and growing up within a culture where we're not necessarily taught how to value ourselves and put ourselves first because that feels selfish, especially as women, to really set boundaries in order to honor and preserve yourself. So I've had to do that with family this week, friends this week, and my job. But my job was my favorite. That was the one I wanted to set the boundary with. I had to really let people know. My very first episode here, y'all, I talked about gatekeeping and stop giving out your information and how I was not fucking with my job. I'm telling y'all by next season, I will not be at that job. So I'm going to keep talking the shit. Because by the time this comes out, they'll just have to gag and watch it like everyone else. You guys can come in. Don't be shy. It's okay. Hi. Welcome. Welcome to Cool Moms. Fab. You look great. So I've been setting boundaries, and I tend to sync up therapy days with Cool Mom days, which is probably helpful. It's like double therapy. And I cried in therapy today because my therapist told me that she was proud of me. I know. You just never know when you need to hear that. And it made me feel really good because I feel really proud of me. I feel really proud for the work that I've been doing, how I have not given up on myself. I have pushed through, and I have quite literally manifested tonight. As many of you know, and many of you are also equally obsessed with our next guest, I posted on Cool Moms maybe over the summer this like throwback photo of Ricki Lake from Ricki Lake Show. And I had like superimposed the Cool Moms logo onto the Ricki Lake card. And I wrote a little note about, or in my head thought about manifesting. And I was like, ultimate cool mom, Ricki Lake. And now, here, December 13th, 2024, as a fucking master manifester, we have Ricki Lake on Cool Moms. Please give a very warm Ricki welcome to Ricki Lake. Ricki! Wow.
It was worth driving 2 hours in traffic to come here.
Good.
Well worth
Glad.
it. Hi, everyone.
Oh my gosh, everyone's so excited. We've got men here too.
I think I need to take my shoes off. What do you say?
I said we got men here too. That's always
I know.
That's fun.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure, honestly.
So every episode I start off with the same question, and Ricki, I feel like you are kooky. So I think
Yeah. I mean, I take that as a compliment.
1,000%. So my inaugural question is always, what is your sign? And if you're very into it, what is your big three, and what does that mean to you?
Okay, big three, I don't know what that means, but I'm a Virgo. Any Virgos? So I'm very Virgo, very meticulous, very organized. And yeah, I mean, I love Virgo women. What sign are you?
What do I feel like?
You seem like a Leo.
Oh, thanks. No.
You're not a Gemini.
I have a Gemini rising.
Okay. Oh, we just did my rising. What was it? What
was
a
it?
Libra? Okay.
Oh, double
Okay.
Virgo.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a schwitzing. Am I okay?
Yeah, you look great.
Am I right? Thanks. Gemini rising, Aries moon, Scorpio sun. So
Spicy.
who did it? It is spicy. It's very like get to it, spicy. But the Virgo helps to not the Virgo. The Gemini helps to soften it up and makes me, I think, approachable and fun and not so
I like
intense.
it. I don't know. I don't really follow astrology so
Yeah.
much. I have a very good friend that is an amazing astrology, Mandy Ingber, everyone. She's incredible. Like for a birthday gift, whatever, she's incredible. But I don't really follow it. But I do identify as being a Virgo.
How has that shown up in different facets of your life?
I'm really organized. Like I'm a manifester. I'm someone like, I see Virgo women as being really strong and knowing who they are. And I think that holds true for me.
Do you think you knew who you are from a very early age, or when did that really develop?
I think I did. I mean, I had the help of John Waters to help instill in me that I'm awesome and that I'm a rule breaker.
Yeah.
And you know, so I definitely have the foundation of having that filmmaker just nurture me and celebrate me. And, you know, playing Tracy Turnblad at 18 was just such an amazing introduction into this crazy business that I've managed to like stay. Like, I love that I didn't peak at 18 with that
Right?
film, you know?
Oof.
I feel like I've just been on this trajectory and this rise, and I've proven myself in all these other ways, and I, became a documentary filmmaker in my late 30s, early 40s. I mean, I'm really, really deeply proud of the career that I've managed to have, and the fact that I'm self-made. I don't come from money. I don't come from nepotism or a handout, and I love where I am now, where I'm 56. I just turned 56, and I'm married to the love of my life. Third time's the charm.
Okay.
And it just gets better. I really, you think when you grow up and you think, oh my God, 50 is so old. And I feel more youthful and more in my prime than I've ever felt before. And I've loved every chapter. Like, I can look back on oh my God, I did that. No, I did that. And I had my children young, and they're now thriving and on their way. I mean, I definitely feel like a cool mom. This is about cool moms.
Duh.
I totally feel I mean, I don't know if they would refer to me as a cool mom, but I think I looking back, I did it all right. And I just feel like now it's me time, and
that's massive. It's to say I did it all right. I don't know how many people.
Granted, I mean, I'm like that's a big statement.
But
yes,
you
for
feel
the
confident.
most part, I made some very difficult decisions about my marriage. My first marriage, the father of my children. I ended that marriage, and I ended my talk show. I was doing that really successful talk show, and I decided not to continue that. A lot of things were playing into the decision in that, and I moved my family out to California and started making documentary film. Like all these twists and turns that I had to make difficult decisions, I look back on as being the right ones.
Yeah. That's a powerful and affirming thing. I want to go back to John Waters because I am obsessed. I'm originally from DC. We had Video American in Tacoma Park.
He's
incredible.
The god. He's like the pinnacle of, like, for me, as someone who was so green and so young at 18. I mean, I wasn't around openly gay people at that time. Like, I was very sheltered. Grew up in a
take us back to what year this was, though.
So this was 1987 when I made the movie. The movie came out in 88. I was 18 years old. I was plucked from obscurity. I was a musical theater major at Ithaca College, which it was a horrible program. I was very overweight. The woman who was my mentor didn't like fat people. They didn't cast me in one show. Like, I was told to give up acting. I'm not talented. I'm never going to make it. And then I hear of a local audition for a movie where they wanted a fat girl who could dance. And I was like, well, I'm definitely fat, and I think I can dance.
Perhaps.
And so I met on an open audition. I met John Waters. I'd never heard of him. I didn't know who Divine was. I didn't know anything about the movie. I'd never been to Baltimore before. And I got the role of a lifetime, and it literally opened every door. It introduced me into this crazy business, and I got to basically be myself in 1962 Baltimore. Like, because I was and I continued to be Tracy Turnblad.
Yes. Yes.
And he mentored me. He really kept me grounded. He instilled in me, like, to stay true to myself, to not take this to, like, really keep things in check, that, things can change on a dime. And, he's a huge force in my life, continues to be. And I'm so grateful to have had that introduction.
I love that. I think so much of the common through line of the work that you've done in so many different ways is storytelling, right? Whether that's from acting to documentary filmmaking to being able to extract stories on Ricki Lake's show. Starting with John, what did you learn about storytelling? Because he has such a specific mind.
I mean, I'm not a filmmaker like he is. Like, he's an auteur. He's a true, he's someone that comes up with the idea, creates these characters, sees it to fruition, oversees everything. And I love that he is like, there's no one like him. He is so unique and so revered and admired. And so, like, I love that. Like, that in and of itself, he's now 78 years old, and there's no one else that will ever be able to, like, fill the shoes of John Waters. And so I feel like in some ways, I mean, I'm certainly not on that level, but I think I'm very comfortable in my skin. I wear everything on my sleeve. What you see is what you get. You all grew up with me. You all know me and relate to me and trust me. And so that is like a foundation that I don't take lightly. I have real reverence for that role, being 24 years old when I did the Ricki Lake show, I went on the air at 24, which
That's
is
insane.
It's crazy to think, like, how presumptuous to assume that I had, like, I didn't know who I was back then.
Yeah.
B, like, who am I to give advice about, like, life and relationships? I mean, I was a mess. But like I was really like I had a good heart about it. Like I wanted the best for people. I treated everyone equally. And I look back on that time as like, it was such an amazing platform and an amazing like vantage point to look at like relationships and humanity at that time, because we're talking about like you guys probably weren't even born.
Oh, we were born.
We
were born and we were watching it.
1993? 93?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Were you like? Do you have memories in 93? Okay.
1,000%.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about age because it doesn't matter. But Ricki Lake Show is quite literally sociology. It is studying human development and the human mind.
It was modern day therapy then, because there wasn't, like, therapy wasn't easily accessible or even acceptable. And so it really was a platform for the marginalized to be heard and to be seen and to be treated with respect. And I look back on it especially with gay people, because, at that time, AIDS was still, in the forefront. And so I think we really did do a lot of good for young gay people that were growing up in middle America that didn't feel represented, didn't feel seen, didn't see people like themselves. So they were able to tune on to our show sometimes twice a day, and to be able to see people that look like themselves. And for that, I'm really, really proud of the work we did.
And now we're seeing such a resurgence of Ricki Lake Show on like social media.
Thanks to me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's incredible. But before we get in too deep, I want to kind of go back to like what was that process of starting the show? What was the pitch meeting? What did you have envisioned for the show?
Oh, you make it seem like I planned the whole thing.
Or did they find you and they're like...
cast. Like, so I had done Hairspray, I'd done Crybaby, I did Serial Mom, I did, I was on a show called China Beach. Like, I was an actress.
Yeah.
But I was also a frequent guest on David Letterman. So do you remember David Letterman when he was on CBS? And so I was always on his show, and he took a liking to me, and I came off funny and quick. So that's how I got the part of the talk show. They had seen me on that show, and they were looking for a younger Oprah. They had looked at shows at that time that Phil Donahue, may he rest in peace, Phil Donahue, Sally Jesse, Oprah. Those were the big shows. Yeah. Even I don't even know if Jenny Jones was on the air then. Maury Povich was there, but it was skewing over 50. The people that were watching were primarily women over the age of 50. So a guy named Garth Anseer, who was like a TV whiz guy. He wanted to do a show for younger people. So he's looking on a casting search for a younger person. He wanted a woman who was young, who people could relate to. So I went to the call. I got a call about this. I went because it was on the Fox lot. I knew it had to be legit. I flirted with 3 gay people, gay guys that I wore like a big flowery hat, and they picked me for whatever reason, and I needed the money. I couldn't pay my rent. I was like, I'll do it for $5,000. And we did the pilot, and then it got picked up.
When you say $5,000 a year,
that's
an
a
episode?
lot. No, to do the pilot, that's a lot of money for me, because that was like almost a year of my rent.
Yeah.
It was like right there. Yeah, my rent was at that time I was living in a pool house. Okay, those of you in LA, I was in a pool house north of Victory. Okay, so I was way out there. Everybody spoke Spanish, and it was a great learning experience. I'd lost my house the year before in the housing market crisis. So I was humbled, deeply humbled at the time. I was 23 years of age. And I went to this audition, met them. They picked me to do the pilot. I was like, I'll do it for this. And I ended up renegotiating with an agent, thankfully.
I hope so, yeah.
But we did the pilot, and then it went on the air the next year at 24. And it was literally like a rocket ship. Like it just became this phenomenon, and I just was really good at that. I didn't know I'd be good at it. I mean, in the beginning I was channeling Oprah because I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, what would Oprah ask? What would Oprah think? But I really was curious about people. I still am. I'm curious about relationships and humanity and why people do the same things they do. And it thankfully really connected with that audience. They trusted me. It was a party in New York. Like anyone who came to my show had a blast.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. And I'm so glad I don't do it anymore. I'm so glad.
I'm glad that you did it because quite literally you created the blueprint for me to do something like this.
Do you really feel that way?
1,000%. First of all, I don't know if you noticed.
No, I didn't notice.
I made Ricki Lake cards.
Oh
but
my God,
no,
that's
literally
so funny.
when I ideated Cool Moms, I told Zoe, our producer, I told the guys here, I was like, I want to be like Ricki Lake. I want to be like, I want to bring 90s talk shows back. Everyone has a podcast. I love podcasts. I was like, but I really miss when we had this opportunity where there was an audience, you could connect with people and you could feel the energy and really thrive off of that.
Absolutely.
I quite literally get up, you'll see, at the end, and I'm going to move around the crowd with a mic.
Do you go and ask questions? Oh, that's so great. That's amazing.
Of course. Yeah, you
Well,
left
they
the
don't
blueprint.
make them like they used to. I
They
have
don't
to
make 'em
say.
like they used to.
No, and
I know.
We had 200 audience every day in our show. We do 2, sometimes 3 a day. It was the ticket. It was kind of like there was a wait list for at the height of the show. It was like a year waiting list to come to the show, and it was amazing. Like I don't think I really had the reverence that I have for it now because I was so young and I was in it. It was a grind. It was 200 a year, but like yeah, it was cool. And then, you know, I'm so glad I went on to do even other things that I'm super, super proud of.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to kind of touch on it and all of these milestones that you had. What was the point within the Ricki Lake show that you knew it was good? That you knew that you had found something, that you had natural talent and ability? When you were filming, did you have a guest or a show or a moment where you're like, oh, I got it?
I mean, it's really in hindsight. So like when I was in it, like I knew it came naturally for me. It was super like fun and the work schedule was super doable and I had the staff that enjoyed coming to work. It was like the show, you know? But it's really like in the last year and a half, I started my own podcast. My last season of the show was really focused on the old show. And it was very like retro and it was looking back, like having guests on that either were on the show or famous people that were impacted by the work we did. It's really that, but I obviously cashing a huge paycheck, you know, was like it didn't suck because I had lost all my money, and so like to be compensated in that way was amazing, and to see my face on a bus, you know, like the bus going by had it's got to be real, it's got to be Rikki. I mean, it was surreal.
Yeah.
And especially like when you look back, like my start was in Hairspray, so I played Tracy Turnblad that becomes a star.
Yes.
It was literally like life imitating art. Like even John Waters couldn't believe that I was a freaking talk show host that was like killing it. And when I did Serial Mom, you guys, I did Serial Mom right before I started work on the talk show. So Serial Mom, Suzanne Summers was in Serial Mom.
Serial Mom is nuts.
I know.
It's so
she and I were working together on this movie in Baltimore. And it was right before I was moving to New York to start my own show. And she had a talk show. And so she, bless her soul, she passed away. But she was mocking me, like patting me on the head. I'm like, I'm about to start my own talk show. And she's like, that's nice, little girl. And I was like, we blew up like 2 months later. And it was just a wild ride. Like nobody ever expected it. And the fact that it stood the test of time, I ended up winning an Emmy. I mean, it's wild. It's wild.
How'd you know when to walk away?
It was easy. 9/11. So I was in New York. I was living in the West Village. I had my second baby in my bathtub 2 months prior to watching the plane hit the building. Like I watched the whole thing, and that was a huge like epiphany that hit me in that moment where I just said, I'm not, because it was just like I had to go back to work 2 days after that happened. The National Guard was in my neighborhood. You know, and I was a lactating mom. I mean, I was very, very messed up from that experience. And I'm going back to work, and I would think it was like, my baby daddy thinks I'm a hoochie, and I mean, it felt so stupid. It felt so like insipid. Like I really thought I was going to die that day, and I thought, I don't want this to be my legacy. I want to do something more impact. Not that my show wasn't impactful, because I think it was, and I absolutely appreciate the foundation and the vantage point and the opportunity. But in really going like inward and figuring out like where can I make a difference that's personal, that's that's when I focused on documentary work. I finished my contract. I didn't quit my show. We just didn't renew the show. I ran for 11 years. Yeah. I made the move to California. I ended up ending my marriage, started anew, and started making a documentary called The Business of Being Born.
Yes.
And that is when I truly think I found my voice and my purpose in life. And that has been life-changing.
The business of being born is, at this point, almost like required watching, right? If you work within the maternal health space, which many people in here do, if you're mothers, I know for me, I watched that in preparation to give birth. I was living in New York City in my studio apartment in Fort Greene and had plans to give birth in my bathtub. And so watching you and you being a producer on this documentary, I was so ignorant to even the maternal health space, and the ways in which so many women feel disenfranchised, the ways in which midwifery has been tried to be snubbed out, and
a smear campaign.
It's a complete smear campaign. Why was it important for you to join on to that project and tell that story?
So that project, I mean, it was just my life that happened. So I had my first son, Milo, in 1997 in a hospital setting. I was planning to have a birth center birth, and I didn't progress. Like, I had that cascade of intervention that I talk about in the film, and basically, like, what I'd wanted, because it's not just being selfish and wanting a certain birth experience. It really does impact you in every way. If you can be empowered in the process of you delivering your child, that stays with you forever, And so, I in doing my own research, wanting midwifery care, I don't know. I had my own experience, and I had a healthy baby. You want the healthy baby, healthy mom. We had all that. I had a vaginal birth with my first son, but in looking back on it, I felt like things were done to me that weren't medically necessary, in my opinion. And so it's like through that research, and then I went to a birth conference that I got to see Ina May Gaskin speak, who's the pioneer midwife that wrote Spiritual Midwifery, and I saw these other people speak, and it was just like this light bulb went on. And I got so into it, and I wanted to become a midwife, but I was like a talk show host. I can't be a midwife. That's ridiculous. But I sort of found my calling. And so it was my second son that I had in my bathtub when, with a midwife and 2 doulas and the people I wanted in my home space, and I trusted my body. And I had this experience that was transformative, isn't a strong enough word. Yeah. It was like in my primal goddess power of what I did. And I had the foresight to have it documented on my little camcorder. Yeah. I mean, I never anticipated to show my naked body giving birth. Like, that was never ever, because I would have worn a top. I would have had better lighting. I would have removed the shampoo bottles behind my head. Like, it was organic and it was real. But like, that experience changed me beyond a mother, becoming a mom. Yeah. And I wanted to share that. Like, I didn't necessarily want to convince other women to do what I did, but I wanted for them to know that it's possible. Yes. And that I am not, I'm crunchy, but I'm not. Like, I like pain pills when I need them. Like, I'm the daughter of a pharmacist. So I just really wanted to share this message. And so it was post 9/11, thinking I was going to die. I'm like, what do I care about? Where can I make a difference? And that's what I really felt like I could. And the fact that this movie has lived on, it's been 16 years. Abby Epstein, my genius director, who I partnered with, I funded the whole thing. I paid for the whole thing. No one would help us. It was $450,000. We never broke even on the movie. But you know what?
Shocking.
I know. We sold it for a little bit to Netflix and New Line. It wasn't about that, it wasn't about that. But I really am, of all the things I've done, and I've done some cool shit in my 37-year career. I love all of it. This, by far, I think is the most impactful thing I'll do in my career.
I just want to open up really quickly, because how many people in here have either seen the documentary or work within the maternal care space?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for Black maternal health. I mean, like, the issue, like, right now, I don't know if you know Elaine Welterroth and what she's doing with Birth Fund. She's a freaking hero of mine. And it gives me chills that she was inspired by my work, and she's about to have her second baby.
She had her second baby.
Kimberly Durden was her midwife.
Yes.
And, Home birth?
Yeah.
She ended up having?
Yes.
Birth center in the Edge, Kindred Space. I think Kindred Space. Okay. She's amazing, and she's given me my flowers, and we need her, and we need voices like her, and it's just so important. It's so, like, obviously these women are dying in childbirth unnecessarily in the medical industrial complex. Things need to shift. And it continues to be my real passion. And in any way I can use my voice and, be involved in hopefully bettering not only the outcomes, but the experiences, because it's like so important that a woman is empowered in this process and an active participant in any way, whether it's a C-section, whether in a hospital setting, if she is heard and respected and her body is treated, with dignity, that affects her, that mother and that child.
100%. And our last episode, we spoke with Simia Rosine, who's a doula. She's an herbalist, and she has a podcast called Birthrights, where people talk about their birth stories. And so she and I were chatting, and listening to you, I think there is this sentiment where it's like, well, I had a healthy baby. And so it's almost like, well, you should just be happy that you had a healthy baby. I know for me, again, I watched The Business of Being Born. I had planned a home birth. I had all these, I was wearing all white. I had the vibe.
You had the playlist going.
I had the playlist. Yeah. I had a projector. I knew what it was going to be. And it wouldn't progress. I wouldn't make it past 5 centimeters. Was in labor for 3 days. Called an Uber because I was like, it's time to go. Ended up at the hospital, and I was like, great. You get to the hospital, you're having a baby. Get the epidural, get the Pitocin. Let's go. I'm having a baby. Didn't happen. Had a C-section. They left a sponge inside of me after they had sewn me up. So they had to cut me back open. And I told this story on the last podcast, but I'll touch on it here. And when you talk about a moment where you're like, oh, this is how people die. And being absolutely terrified because nobody is left in the room.
I have to buzz someone out of my house. Wait, hold on. I am so sorry. I have a private...
Not when I'm on the table, Rikki, and I'm about to die.
That was the worst timing ever. But Go on. You didn't die. I'm so glad.
I did not die.
So how did they know they left?
I had a funny feeling, and then I heard a nurse say, "Where's sponge 13?" and they pressed on my stomach. And then the series of events that followed from there were very much about gaslighting me, trying to convince me that everything that happened was okay and normal, and then ultimately villainizing me and treating us like shit for the rest of our hospital experience. And coming out of the hospital really felt like coming out of the Twilight Zone.
I'll bet.
I was just like, what just happened to me?
Did you have a doula?
I did. My doula's here. I kind of fired my doula, but just stopped. I think I might have just stopped calling you. I don't know what happened. Why did you bring it up?
No, because it is so important that you have someone advocating for you, even though they're not supposed to technically advocate. Yeah. But to have a support system that's not necessarily your partner with you.
No, I did. Also, Regina is fantastic. I was hormonal. This was before it's fine. I was feeling feelings. Anyways, I did. And then I ended up forcing my friend to be my doula. So she's feverishly reading the nurture book and trying to figure out how to support me. And I didn't take a single birthing class. And I just thought I would inherently know how to give birth to a baby because I thought that's what my body was made to do. And
your body is made to do that.
It is.
But it's the system that makes it difficult.
Yes. And so I felt deeply, deeply robbed from my birth experience because I had watched documentaries like yours. I had watched YouTube videos of free births. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to slide this baby out. It's going to change my life. And it's going to be an awakening, as all of these other mothers have told me. And I felt like I had a blessing, but I didn't have that specific experience.
Right. And
so I think the series of events that happened after that, the ways in which we were targeted, because at the time I'm a freelancer and I'm on Medicaid, and so they're treating us a certain type of way in the hospital as if we're very ignorant. It was just a really challenging experience, and one that I was not mentally prepared for, because I had lived in this bubble of friends who are birth workers, of having a midwife, of having privilege, and really the hospital system checking my privilege at the door, right? And reminding me of who they saw me to be.
Yes.
And so that was so much of what my birth experience was. And there was so much undoing and healing and conversations that I've had with Elaine about that in terms of how I had to heal from my own birth story and like reconcile with that too, you know, because you feel robbed.
It was trauma.
Trauma.
You experienced trauma.
100%.
Yeah. No, I'm so sorry that happened to you, you know?
Thanks.
And for me, like, I can't say that I had a traumatic birth experience with my first son, but I definitely healed from my second, you know, like having both to compare. I'm so grateful for both experiences because the movie wouldn't have happened without having had both experiences.
Yeah. What did you learn about yourself coming into your second son and being reintroduced to
I'm a
motherhood?
total badass.
Yeah.
Like I really, and for me, I was a victim of sexual abuse as a child, and I really truly feel, and we didn't talk about it in the documentary, but like I healed from that experience. I think I got to see my body, what it was able to do without being rescued by by a doctor and by the system. You know, like I really felt just like, wow, look at what I did. And that's I had with my first son as well, but I think even more so with my second son. And, you know, we're talking, my youngest son is 23, my oldest is 27. It's a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
And I still can look back on those days as like tapping into my power and you know, what a miracle it is to make these babies, to grow these babies and produce these people. It's the best. It's the best.
It's a trip.
It is.
Actually, it's
It
kind
is.
of because not all you did, but kind of all you did was have sex, and then here we are.
Here we
have
are.
all
The
these
coolest
stories.
moms around.
The coolest fucking moms
I
around.
saw pictures of your son. What a
Did you?
beautiful. Yeah, I was showing pictures of Sergeant. I
thank
love
you.
it.
Thank you.
He's how old?
6.
Oh my god.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, I know.
I'm obsessed.
Boys
like,
are great. I have to say,
are great.
as a mom of 2 boys, I don't know from girls, but they're rough. They're tough, man. Boys, and I have to say, like, my kids are doing so great. They live in New York. My oldest son is in graduate school at Columbia. My youngest is in art school. They're thriving. They are happy. They are, like, they're just awesome people. And it's like, I do pat myself on the back because I did something right. They're real, like, you know when they call you, like for a long time, it's like every time they called, they needed something, there was a problem, I need to get into something. Now, I hear from them just because they want to fill me in on what's going on with their, it's like.
That's me and my mom. She's like, you must be all right now. I'm like, yeah, I just called it chit
It's
chat.
the best. It's really, it's
good.
amazing. And, I'm in this new marriage, so I have me time a lot of the time, and it's like the perfect balance.
Can we talk about love?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
third
figured
time's
it
a
out.
charm.
Third time is it.
And he's an ex-Mormon.
He is ex-Mormon.
Okay.
He is dreamy. He is my best friend. He is so much fun. We found each other during COVID. My last partner, if you follow me at all, I lost my second husband to bipolar and suicide. In 2017. It's coming up on 8 years, and I can't believe it. And I was so broken at the loss of him and not the fact that I wasn't able to save him because I'm a manifester, as we talked about before.
Yes.
You are too.
Yes.
And the fact that I could not figure out how to fix him was really devastating. And I didn't know how I'd ever be happy again. And I was building this property in Malibu, and the plan was for us to be together there and grow old there. And suddenly he's gone, and I don't want to be on a mountaintop by myself.
Right.
And then I meet the man of my dreams during COVID. During the time of COVID when we were washing our groceries. Remember that time?
Ooh, the thick of it.
That was like the dark, before the vaccines. And it was really, he and I are so from separate worlds. He's an ex-Mormon. He's a lawyer. He's a professional. He owns his own car. Like, I'd never been out with really anybody that owned his own anything.
Rikki.
Yeah, I was really good at picking the guy that's like almost there,
I see the potential, and I want to nurture that. And
No, I figured it out in my 50s. I figured out, I think honestly, it comes back from like Christian, my beloved who passed away. I feel like I learned to love myself the way he loved me after he was gone. Like, I really think I had this newfound respect for myself, and I was able to call in the level of human that I deserved. And Ross is my dream. Like, we've never had an argument. We're together all the time. He works from home. I work from home. It's like we've never had like an altercation, a crossword. We really just enjoy each other and appreciate, because I think we both went through a lot to find each other, a lot of like failed relationships and raising children and making sacrifices and doing the right thing for everyone else. And now we get to choose us. And we love to be home. We love to go hiking. We go on beach walks. We have this dog that we are obsessed about, and it's very simple, like compared to the life I used to do when I hosted my show. And I have stuff in the works that I work on. Ricki Lake Bake, which we have to talk about.
We're
my
totally
cannabis
gonna
brand.
do it.
That's happening.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like I really like, it's like the sweeter, quieter days of just hanging out, getting high with my dude.
Yeah.
Watching Bravo, just like.
Do you think you knew that as soon as you met? Did you feel, was there that quintessential moment of like, oh, you're my person?
No.
Okay.
He was my booty call for like 4 months.
Oh.
He was literally he was on the back burner where I was obsessed with this other guy, the wrong guy. And I was open about it. I am not a cheater. I'm not someone that like hides things or lies. I was on the up and up. I told Ross, my husband's name is Ross, that I was obsessed with this other guy, and I was a mess. I was a head
Take
case.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so he was cool with it. He was like, whatever. He's like, I'm here. I enjoy you. And we hang out as much as you have time to give. And again, it was during COVID, so like we were on lockdown. We're seeing each other for a meal here, ordering food and stuff. And it was really like, it's like a rom-com, because it was on Halloween 2020. If you all follow the moon, there was a super blue moon on Halloween 2020. Does anyone remember that? That was the night where I literally did a double take with him, and I was like, oh, it's you. It's you. It's always been you. And that was literally, my heart opened, and we've been together ever since. Yeah. It's the shit.
That's sick.
It is. Sick. We are the happiest people in our 50s I think you've ever met.
Do you think life gets better in your 50s for sure?
I do.
Is that specific to you, or do you think that's...
I can't speak for anyone else but me.
Fair.
And for Ross. Like, Ross can say it too. But I think because I've had this extraordinary career. Like, I've done the coolest things. Like, I love the acting roles I've had, and the people I've gotten to meet and work with, and the making documentaries, and doing my talk show, and being on Dancing with the Stars, and like all the like accolades and the achievements, and then the hardship. And then now it's like, I'm healthier. I just lost 40 pounds on my own without any drugs. And I take care of myself, and I enjoy cannabis. I grow my own cannabis.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
My group brought some samples for everyone.
Yeah, before you leave, make sure you get some weed, guys.
And full transparency, it's not that's their my partner's company is Stone Road Farms, the most beautiful medicine. I know. I visited their farm this summer. They have amazing, like 60 acres up in Grass Valley, and beautiful. And so so I basically I discovered cannabis late in life. So just so you know, when I did my talk show, I was the Nancy Reagan disciple.
No.
I was just saying no. I was so judgmental and fear-filled, literally. Like, I was like, ew, drugs, ew. Like,
she's high?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And now, I've come full circle.
Are you high now?
No, I'm not high.
Okay.
Right now. I am not. But I'm not opposed to being.
Sure,
I just had to drive 2 hours to get here. So I didn't have time. But I did have a margarita. But, cannabis has become my medicine, and I made a documentary called Weed the People, which I'm super proud of, that took 6 years to make, and my last husband who passed, Christian, this was his legacy. He's the one who turned me on to cannabis in 2012, before Sanjay Gupta was making his amends to his audience about cannabis and about CBD. I was making a film then focusing on children with cancer, pediatric cancer. We followed children with brain tumors for 6 years on cannabis oil. And it's a beautiful film that I'm, like I said, really proud of. And that's when I got an education about cannabis. And, it's such an amazing plant. It has such healing properties, and it's so much fun recreationally.
Yeah.
And to see what's happened in this country as far as legalization, and I mean, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back with like taxation, and I mean, it's a mess, and all the reparations with all the people that are incarcerated. I mean, it's like a
so
whole
many people
loaded,
are locked up behind weed right now, and we get to
so.
just...
Can I say fuck?
Yeah,
It's so fucked up.
It's so fucked up.
But I've learned a lot. I'm not an expert in any way, but I grow my own medicine on my hillside in Malibu, and that in of itself is an art. I mean, it's really like a very complicated. It's a weed, but yet there's ways to grow it that's organic and beautiful. And so I've had, this is my 3rd crop this year, and we have amazing, like 4 different OG strains. We have some blue cheese and purple ayahuasca, and
Not the purple ayahuasca.
Maui
That sounds
Wowie.
dangerous.
Yeah. But then I partnered with my friend Lex and Lex Alexander. Wait, you go like Lex Corwin, and Stone Road Farms.
You sound like a superhero, supervillain.
Okay, Lex is someone I've known since he's 5 years old. Literally, I am very good friends with his mother. And so I've known him as a little boy, and this is his beautiful company. And he came to my house. His mom was visiting, and they came over, and I showed him my little grow. And he's like, "Would you ever want to do a collab?" And I was like, hell yeah. And so we partnered. Ricki Lake Bake is partnering on a brand with him.
Ricki Lake and Bake.
Yeah. That in and of itself is like, right?
That's how they hit me
up. That's like a fuck yes, right? Yeah. And
Literally.
I love it. I love it because I really believe this medicine needs to be available to all who need it for however they need it. It's medicine.
Completely.
And so it's like this is a fun little project for me. And I'd love to blow up Stone Road Farms.
Hell yeah. I mean, it seems like it's coming at such a perfect time because you are quite literally in your healing era. You've said that this is the healthiest you've ever felt, the best that you've ever felt. When we were taking pictures back there, I was like, "Do you have a side you prefer?" She's like, "I like both." And I was like, yeah. So it makes sense to really be embracing a multitude of healing modalities, but marijuana is a healing modality. I want to talk about what kind of strain you like, what kind of like vibe or high you look for, and if you could give us maybe the first time you got high with weed and what that felt like.
The first time I got high was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I believe it was laced with something messed up. I was in college. I was a freshman in college. I was a musical theater major at Ithaca College, having a horrible time. And like I was in love with a guy who was gay but hadn't come out yet. I'm this fat girl, and he doesn't want to like kiss me, so I'm thinking it's me. I mean, it was a disaster of a year.
This
and
is a cliche.
This is like I know. It was before Hairspray.
Okay,
so it's like I had the coming out a year later, and he has coming out in sophomore year. But so I just was like a mess. I didn't fit in, and I got high, and I just had like a really bad reaction. So I didn't touch it for years. I was like, no, thank you. And it's really Christian, who I met when I was in my early 40s, when we got together, and he was going on this journey to find healing for his own chronic back pain, his mental health issues. And so it was really medicinal for him. And that's when I started exploring it and making this film. We started following these children and seeing the benefits. So like, I just have come to just have real, like, an appreciation. I'm not sure I answered your question. What was your question about? I told you about the first time I got high.
You said it was terrible.
But it's like I'm a newbie in the cannabis space. Like I really am learning all the time, especially with growing my own medicine and learning what works and what doesn't work. And we don't spray anything. Like it's all organic.
Come on, organic, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I should have brought you some of my own homegrown.
Okay, so let me tell you something, Rikki.
You're going to come over. We're going to have a play date at my house.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
1,000%. But I told my friend, I said, okay, listen. All right, so the first time I ever smoked weed, I was 14. Because I lived in Atlanta, and that's just what you did.
Yeah.
And it was great. I had a fab relationship with weed for a very long time. And then like 4 years ago, I was probably smoking like 5 joints a day. 5 pre-rolls a day.
wow.
I know, I was smoked out.
Yeah, you're varsity.
It was the big leagues. And then one day I had a panic attack. And I legitimately thought that I was dying. I had smoked 2 pre-rolls before bed. And I thought that I was dying. I was going to call 911. Don't do that. It's just weed. Don't do that. Instead, I called my friend who's in the audience. And I was like, you got to come over here right now because I think I'm dying. And if you don't come, I'm going to call 911. Then I strip all of my clothes off. I'm butt naked on my bathroom floor and I'm hyperventilating. My cats are looking at me. And I'm like, oh, I'm having a panic attack. I'm not dying. I'm having a panic attack. My friend gets over there, and then I completely yell at her. I'm like, why didn't you tell me I was fucking crazy? Like, you know me better than anyone. And I realized I just had way too much anxiety, so I stopped smoking weed. After that.
I get it.
Legit,
because it can make you paranoid. So, I learned, we have our own unique endocannabinoid system, and there's so many strains, you have to, trial and error because
100%.
we're not able to study it because it's still a fucking Schedule 1 drug in this country. It's ridiculous. So we went to Israel and we made We the People, the documentary I made. We got to see in Israel, they were able to test because it's legal. And I got to interview Meshulam, he was the scientist that pinpointed THC. He's since passed away. But yeah, it's like the fact that we cannot study this medication. They were studying it for this strain helps with prostate cancer.
Right.
This strain helps with breast cancer.
Right.
I mean, it's groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah, I'm very much of the belief that God, because I believe in God, that God has given us everything on this earth that we need in order to thrive. And I think weed is included in that. So, I'm not closed off.
You haven't smoked since.
I haven't smoked since. I would smoke with you. I wouldn't get weird.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, so you asked me what I like.
Yeah,
so,
what do you like?
What I like at night, my husband and I like indica at night. For
sure.
sleep and for giggles and for playtime. We're down with the gummies. We like a gummy.
Yeah.
But last year I lost 40 pounds and I wasn't doing the sugar. So I was doing a keto diet, so I was not. But I'm not a big smoker because it hurts my throat.
Okay.
So I like to vape.
Okay.
I do, but I don't. I'm a very 1 hit, 2 hits max.
She's out.
I'm not with Snoop, with the big fatty.
Yeah.
Although I did smoke with Snoop once. I did at the Cannabis Cup in Denver, which was really, oh my God, that was so fun.
I heard that he has a handler or a wrangler that helps people tap out.
Yeah.
So they don't try to keep up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can't. He's the master.
Yeah.
We bow to him. But yeah, so I'm definitely much still I'm not varsity when it comes to cannabis. And I have real respect for this medicine. And it can fuck you up.
Yeah, I learned that. I learned that. But it has brought me through so many fantastic times. I've had so many good experiences. I think when I go on vacation soon, I'm gonna try again because I love cannabis. Just
try and you got to be in a safe space, safe container.
Exactly.
I think it's just you got to and I got into other plant medicines as well. I've done ayahuasca many times. I've done psilocybin. They all need to be treated with the utmost respect.
That's a fact. Don't do psilocybin and drink. That's when I thought the aliens were
drink.
coming. Yeah, I just go too far. I always just want to
mix.
I mix. Yeah, I do.
That's okay. Yeah.
Before
Ixnay on the Ixnay.
Yeah, before I open up to the audience, I want to do a little quick fire.
Okay.
We have Ricki Lake Bake coming out. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, who is your dream rotation? Who are you smoking with? Who are you doing edibles with? They can be dead or alive.
I really want to get high with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I really do. He has houseplant and he seems like such a fun hang. I'm a big fan of his work, and he and his wife, they chose not to have kids. They're not cool moms over there, but they like to get high. And I though I'm a mom and I'm a cool mom, I'm a self-proclaimed cool mom. My kids are grown and out of the house.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it out there on blast. Seth Rogen, I'm a good time.
She's a good time. I'm gonna find out, Ricki. I promise I won't get weird.
No. I know you won't.
Yeah, I know I won't get weird. All right. And okay, so Seth Rogen is Dream Blunt. And then
Yeah,
you were
let's
saying
see.
to wind down for indica, you like indica. What is the Ricki Lake and Bake strain like? What's the high
What is
giving?
it like? 'Cause
Tell
I
us about
haven't-
the
I
high.
haven't It's a hybrid.
Okay.
Passion fused. So
Oh.
a little bit more of like a physical body high, not so much like crazy in the head, but similar to how
I like a
Rikki
body.
grows, like there's no spraying of pesticides, even if they're organically occurring. We make all of our own compost teas. They're completely off grid. It's all solar powered. So we like to say it's cannabis grown, the way it used to be.
Sick. Like your uncle's growing it in the backyard or something.
Yeah, like the hippies
Yeah.
were growing it in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Where it was in like an industrial like warehouse under like lights and everything was monitored. And the alien weed of today doesn't really have a lot to do with like the really feel goody stuff.
Yeah.
That we're growing.
I feel like I need to smoke stuff that I still have to pick like stems and seeds out of. Like I just need some like dirt weed that's like just good. Yeah, just let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple.
How about I don't even know how to roll a joint.
Ooh.
I know.
Oh, I know how to roll. We can roll. Yeah. The thing is, I'm a smoker, so I've switched from weed to cigarettes, and that's not a good switch.
Oh no!
Oh,
no,
don't give me that.
I've
I
never,
know.
in my life, I've never smoked a cigarette.
I smoke them down. I
Not
just like
once.
to smoke.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is it about it?
Oral fixation. I don't know. Let TikTok tell you have autism because you just like to do this. But I don't know. I just like doing that. It just
Yeah.
is a good feeling. Last question. Speaking of cannabis, because I'm curious about this. As a mom who has smoked weed, would you smoke now with your sons that they're grown?
Oh, I have.
Ooh. Did you get weird the first time you did? What was
I
it
can't
like?
remember they've been smoking weed for a really long time. And in fact, my oldest, he lied and I found the weed in his room and I got so mad. This was when he was like 14 and I took his door off his hinges.
No!
I did. He lost his privacy for a little while. But that wasn't when I was smoking weed. So let me think. Like now, they're adults. My kids are 26.
Yeah.
It's legal. Like I'm not doing anything that's like not, and we're smoking what we grow for the most part.
Ooh. Yeah.
I can't remember the first time. It might have been weird. But they're potheads.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
They're
Safe.
definitely
Safe.
But they're also functioning. Like they're not. They
sound like great guys.
They're producing. Yeah, I don't want to be putting out they're functioning. Yeah, they're managing it all.
Don't worry, this is the right crowd. This is no judgment. Speaking of the crowd, I'm going to throw it to the audience, and we'll go
Okay.
to Ask a Cool Mom. So we're here with
London.
in London. What is your question for Rikki?
My question is, so you mentioned you watch Bravo. So I want to know, do you watch Housewives? And which is your favorite franchise?
Oh, great question. So Andy Cohen is one of my dear friends for 28 years. We met the year before I got pregnant with my first son. And okay, my husband's an ex-Mormon, so Salt Lake City is that your favorite too?
Yes.
Salt Lake City is our favorite right now, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think of the other ones I like. Hands down, Salt Lake City is my favorite.
Who's
What
the
about you?
new woman?
What?
Who's the new woman on Salt Lake City?
The new woman on Salt
Starts
Lake
with a
City
B.
is
Come on, y'all.
what's her name? She's got those crazy outfits.
Yeah, with all of the
But I miss Monica.
Bronwyn.
Who doesn't miss Monica from last season?
Is it safe to say I miss Jen Shaw?
Oh, I miss Jen Shaw
Okay.
too. Oh, Jen, she's amazing.
What's your favorite franchise?
I mean, of course, Atlanta, but Potomac as well.
Yeah. Were you rooting for what's her name, Phaedra on Dancing with the Stars?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Fair.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
London.
Hi, my name is Stefania.
Hi, nice
To meet you.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you too.
So I wanted to ask you, your second child you had in New York also?
Yes.
How was it like raising young boys in New York City? And what's it like raising boys like in general? You have to teach them like, hey, don't be a fucking weirdo. Like, don't be creepy. And like, I always thought that was going to be difficult raising
Yeah.
a boy like, oh my God, like, I hope he's not walking up to girls like, yo, where my hug at? So it's like, how did you do that? Because you said they were really cool. So
They're
I'm curious
great.
to know raising them
Yeah.
in New York and normal.
Yeah, I raised them it's been a long time now, so times are different. I had both my children in New York. I left New York when they were 6 and 2. So and that's when I divorced their dad. So they were very, very young. in New York was different. It was pre 9/11. I mean, it was just it was different. It was just different. I mean, I think New York. I don't live there anymore. I love New York. I'm always going to be a New Yorker, but like it's just different. I mean, I think I don't know how to raise girls. So boys, I mean, it's just being present, being authentic, you know, encouraging their talents. Like I was able to really nurture, both of them were musicians and artists. So I was able to get them the best guitar teacher and the best, you know, like I really, really made it a point to give them all the support they needed to do the things they wanted to do. They're very private people, my boys. Like they're not public figures. They don't do social media. They're like sort of on the DL. I respect that. But I mean, I think it's weird because I was famous, you know, like grew up with like a mother that was on TV. I think it was like a thing, you know, it's just like that's what they know. But I think I did do a good job. Like like the proof is in the pudding. They're really handling life so beautifully, and it makes me really proud. Did I answer your question? Do you have boys?
Thank you.
Boy.
Her son is my son's best friend.
Okay. Oh, really?
And she has the best son. She's doing great. She doesn't need the
Oh,
advice.
in first grade? First grade.
Third.
Wait, I thought he's 6.
Yeah, but he likes an older boy.
Got it.
Sergeant's mature.
Got it.
Yeah.
Are you a cool mom?
I'm a new cool mom, yes. We had to take her out. She was being a little whiny.
So cute.
So I guess my question, but my question is, what would you say is like the highlight, from the duration of doing the Ricki Lake show? What's like the one moment that like, I don't know, sticks out to you that was just like the highlight of like the 11-year duration?
Oh my God, that is so. We did 3,100 episodes.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, all of them, like every single episode we did, and even though it was like it was a formula, and it was a lot of the same kind of baby daddy cheating on this one and this one, but it was always surprising. There was always something that came out of every hour that was like, wow, I didn't expect that, you know? I'm trying to think like when I had to confront that religious fanatic that was like protesting gay funerals. I mean, that was like this, that was the first season of my show. So I was like 25 and I'm having to deal with this guy. He's shouting these proverbs at me. He was so disrespectful to me and I didn't know what to say and I just kicked him out. Like I was just like, I was like, you may be a reverend, but this is still my show. Get out of here. And we had him like escorted, you know. I mean, that stood out as like a really scary experience. But for the most part, like it was just a blast. Like it was just fun. Like people just let me like hold this forum, you know? It was just like one of those things that I really had no business having that job, but I'm glad they gave it to me anyway.
I have a follow-up question. I know. Like, I want to know. Was it scripted or was it like real reality?
It was not scripted. And so in fact, one of the things I'm most proud of, I did not wear it's called an IFB, which is like an earpiece, so that the control room could tell me what to say, or I refused to wear one because it was distracting and I didn't want to be told what to say. So I love that like I was able to tell the story and get the conflict out and do what I needed to do, have that doorbell, have them come out, surprise, but it was like not scripted.
Wow.
You know, what was scripted was the introductions. Like I would read the teleprompter, like so-and-so is, you know, but that's the only thing that was scripted.
I'm Alexis.
Hi.
And I'm a social worker. So shout out to me.
Yay.
Yes. Shout out to you for inspiring me too.
Oh,
To want to
really?
learn about people and culture and why people do the things that they do. You had stopped yourself earlier too when you were talking about advocating, especially in the medical field. And that's just my question is how, even if it's small, can people advocate for themselves when they're giving birth?
They have to.
Yes.
So when I stop myself is like a doula, you're not, because I am a doula, you're not technically an advocate. Like they're very careful to say that you're really not advocating. You're supporting that person, but you have to encourage them to advocate for themselves. But yeah, I think in the medical and all medical practice, we need to listen to our gut and our intuition because doctors don't always know best. And I mean, particularly right, I mean, it is such a scary time to be sick, to have chronic illness, to have pre-existing condition. I mean, it's just, it's yes, you need to listen to your body and have options, like, and not just options, but informed options, informed consent. It's really, I was going to say war zone, but it really feels like it's just, I mean, I have a sister that suffers with chronic illness, like severe chronic illness, and it's awful. She lived in England for a long time where they have socialized medicine, but yet the level of care, she'd wait 3 months to see a specialist for her. You know, it's fine if you don't have health issues, but if you have chronic illness, it's just as bad. It's just different, you know? So I think, yeah, we need to really empower ourselves to know, like, to ask those questions, particularly when you're pregnant. You know, go in, you don't have to just choose the doctor that, you know, you see. Go and look at different practices, and you have rights, and you can refuse certain things. And I think that really makes a difference in the outcome when you feel like you are being respected and heard with what decisions you choose to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Ricki Lake again. A warm round of applause for closing out our first season here in partnership with the Line Hotel. Thank you, Ricki.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yay.
I could not have asked for a better guest. Manifestation is real. Thank you all so much, and until next time.
Yay! That was so fun.
Not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.